aren't here. Welcome to class. We just did our shares, and Jolene, beautiful Jolene, has a migraine, so we found some amazing tools for healing migraines and helping with migraines. So reach out to Amanda and squeezing on the pressure points and doing sorts of things like that. Piercings, all sorts of things are a solution to that, and really just talking about how we get to spiral up into more confidence, and we're all experiencing a little more flow. Catalina's pushing clients away because they're just coming at her and begging on their knees for her, and Laura's dropping weight like crazy and healthy and strong and doing so well in work, and we're all building in confidence, and Amanda's arguing with herself and winning. I just love that. I'm arguing with myself and winning. And so Catalina, go ahead.
So the other thing is, it's so great just to be here. I just, to take all this in, because when it's me, myself, and I think it's me,
Yeah.
and then I'm going like, but, I see me and all of you, and I know you guys see you and me, so it's like interactive, right? But the other thing that occurred with the two clients that I'm in the pickle with is I I knew I had to have a really hard conversation with them and actually tell them what to do. And I've had these clients for years, and I kept saying, like, they should know, or that it's not my job. And then I went, if not me, who? And if not now, when? And how could I start the conversation? So rather than starting from like, you didn't do this, I went, I don't think we're on the same page. Where do you think you're going?
Mhm.
And I've never said those words before, ever. And once I said, where do you think you're going? And then they told me, and then I said, okay, how do you think you're going to get there with this? And so we became partners in that moment. And even though I don't have like the higher job to be advising them and telling them what to do, I could stand in that moment of telling them what to do and then ultimately let them choose. And that's like the first time.
That's amazing. And this is like, I love everything because it totally transitions into what I wanted to bring up today is this idea. It's so good to be here, right? It's so good to be in a space not only of learning new things, but of co-creation. And
Yeah.
what you're stepping into in this situation is you're going from a place of you tell me what to do and I do it, or I tell you what to do and you do it or don't do it, and there's this frustration, um, into a space of co-creation. Like, here, this is what I've got. What do you have? Let's create something new. And I'm in this relationship class that I just completed, and one of the things we did at the end was we created a love map, and
Mhm.
it's really cool. It was with Maya Rose and Gerald, and they have you write down just 10 things that make you feel filled with love that your partner can do for you. And you can do this with family or friends or whatever, but it's like when you bring me a glass of water, when you dance with me in the kitchen, when we make love, whatever it is in a romantic relationship. But when I pulled back, I was kind of geeking out on this with a friend, and we were noticing, this is actually the key to any relationship. And this is actually the reason why my last two relationships didn't work, is because I couldn't create a world with them, right? I couldn't co-create with them. I didn't feel like we were making something bigger than ourselves. And for me, that's like, he was like, how big, how high is that on the your scale? And I'm like, it's number one. It's so important. And yet and then I was talking to someone, I'm launching this coaching program, and I reached out and said, hey, here's how we could pay you, and you could refer people into the program to this guy. He said, you know what? Like, I don't really want to just hand over people and make money. I want to co-create, right? And so I'm hearing this all over the place, and I'm kind of realizing, like, this is the new way of doing business. This is
Yeah.
the this is the way that we create meaningful relationships. And I was thinking, this is what I love most about the mastermind, right? It's not me coming in and teaching all this stuff. It's like, it's everyone pouring, you going like, oh yeah, it's this piercing I got. Like, how freaking cool that we can get on and we can go, this is what's going on in my life right now. And we don't have just me coaching you or me teaching you new information or watching videos. It's a whole group of us that love, care about each other, and can share insights and ask questions. And so the co-creation, like I just feel like we're creating this like kind of ecosystem of so much growth and learning and love. And so it's really beautiful. Yeah.
I really love that idea around business too, because my just ultimate dream in life is to open up a recovery center, and how you're talking, you're co-creating that, so there's so much ownership and like love, and it's like, like you're birthing like a child together, like you're making this thing that you're both so invested in and just truly love it to the core. It's not like somebody's just jumping in and like helping out or something. Yeah, I really love that idea.
The ownership, and even as you enroll people into it, is like the more co-creation that they can have, even the addicts, right? Even the people that are involved, as you give them opportunities to contribute, to serve, to use their superpowers, it actually makes your job easier, and it builds the strength of the community so much more. Like, haven't you seen organizations where everyone's involved and contributing versus everyone's taking? Like, the people that are paying take, and the people that are giving are like self-sacrificing to the point of being exhausted because they're like building and doing it all themselves.
Yeah.
So I think it's this almost like it's just it's more like Helen talks about is the 5D, right? It's like, what if we're all one and we're all in this co-creation? It's stepping into a new way of interacting and creating. So yeah, just a new kind of concept to mull around in your head. And I'm looking at, like, I look at why I've traveled all over the world and even gone to Burning Man. Like, I went to these things that I would have never expected to go. And the only reason I went to Burning Man, I was like, I am not going to some like, you know, rave drug party. Like, that is not my ideal idea of a good time. But he was like, you know what, our group really needs someone to cook. Our chef just dropped out, and we need someone to cook one meal a day, and we'll pay you, and we'll have you come in. And as soon as I was like a part of the creation of the camp, it was like, oh, okay, like I'll go, I'll get uncomfortable and go to this thing. And it ended up being like so amazing. I could watch weddings, and I could go to how to heal the world with the didgeridoo workshops, and I had a really great time. And but yet I wouldn't have done it without having an opportunity to co-create. And so it's something to look at in our businesses, it's something to look at in our friendships, our relationships, and it just makes the world a more wonderful place. So yeah, that's something I wanted to share. So to get into the writings, I really wanted you guys to have a chance to share what you've found in your writings, and just share the insights. And we're on day 7 through 14. So even if you haven't written those, this is a good time to look at the questions. The first one's, do you believe being conscious of negative emotions can enhance your love for yourself, or might only hurt or limit them? And I think this question is really interesting because it really talks about like, how much do we look at our negative emotions? How much do we push them away? How much do we like soak into them and go into focusing entirely on them? How much do we ignore them? Right. And so, how do we find this balance of recognizing the negative emotions, not just pushing it away? And like, my response was, yeah, being conscious and acknowledging that all of me is the only way I can love myself, right? Have you ever known someone that just doesn't know you that well and is like totally loves you? It's kind of that, like, movie stars are an example of this, where everyone's like all fan based and everyone loves them, but then they don't really feel
No.
loved or seen, and they feel like totally lonely in the world, right? So that's an extreme example, but we have the most amazing relationship I've ever had was with someone who just wanted to see all of me, every single part. When I was crying, he was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is so beautiful." Like he just loved when I felt all the emotions. When I got angry, it was like, "Oh, like I love you when you're mad. You're just so good, beautiful and cute, and like I love that you care so much." Like he just loved all of it. It was really beautiful, right? So being able to see all of us, I think, is really beautiful, and we can't see only the good things. It just doesn't, even in ourselves, right? And we can't just focus on the bad things because that doesn't work either. Like I've been in the worst relationship I've been in is where he just focused on the negative and everything I did was annoying to him, right? And that's horrendous as well. So um it's finding that balance of just it's acknowledging and seeing all of it and loving all of it. Isn't that what we all want in a relationship? And so what if we gave that to ourselves as well? So anyone else have any insights on that one? Yeah, Catalina.
So what's really great about what you're saying is just doing the workbook and going from fear to love and fear to love and fear to love. So, I read the email from my client at 11 o'clock last night. Okay, bad business practice. Bad business practice. Bad, bad,
Boundaries, boundaries.
bad. So it was like the email popped up and I read it and it just sent me off in a spiral downward, and then I couldn't go to sleep. And then I'm going like, wait a minute, fear or love, and I'm kind of going like, okay, fear. And I love the fear. I love the fear. In that moment, I love the fear. I'm like going down the tunnel of how this isn't going to be good. And really, it's a situation where I'm going like, I just want to call him going, you're going to end up in jail. They're going to arrest you, for tax fraud. And I'm going like, where the he just didn't supply some information and he made a couple of mistakes that are big, but they're fixable, right? But in the moment, I was going like, you're gonna go to jail, and then I'm going like, okay, I can't start from there. And I'm not going to sleep. So this is 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I turn off the light, I put my head down, and then I'm going like, okay, but what if he doesn't go to jail? Well, how can I say that without him telling him that he's just going to jail? Where can I start this conversation somewhere else? Then I'm going like, oh, fear, 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 fear. Okay, where can I start from love for myself? So like the questions, just because we're doing the workbook and I've been bouncing back and forth, I'm going, wait a minute, I have access to both of these. And I got to role play with myself.
Mm.
So that I'm going like, okay, there's two things here. One, I've got both of those things. I don't know that they're true, not true, but actually, okay, now that my brain has them, let my brain solve this and I need to go to sleep and then I can deal with it in the morning. And then I went to sleep. But until that moment when I was just regurgitating all the conversations that I was going to tell him, that they weren't generous at all.
Yeah.
And they were accusatory. And I'm going like, I just wanted him to behave, and I'm going like, he's an 81-year-old man. He knows how to behave, and then I'm kind of going, and it's like when I had the conversation today, I said, this is a problem. We need a solution. He goes, well, there's work for me to do. And I'm going like, of course there is. Not my work, his work, and I'm going like, oh, that was actually a whole lot easier than it was in my head.
Right. And so this is what is so powerful is like when we have these things that the powerful thing is to recognize and to work through it. But the hack is I'm feeling fear. So
Mm-hmm.
what's what is it? It would be um basically three steps, right? You feel the fear, you recognize that you don't have enough information because that's the message,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So then you go, I don't have enough information. You you get the information. So it's four steps. You get the information that you need. or as much as you can get, because you can't ever get all the information. But like at 11 o'clock at night, you go, okay, what's all the information? Because obviously I don't have enough information. And you're like, okay, I'll read the email again. Maybe I'll look something up. And then that's all the information I can get right now. And so now I'm going to go to sleep because I can't do anything else. I surrender, right?
Yeah.
And but then you decide what you're, and then you take action. So if it's 11 o'clock at night, you surrender, you let go, and you wake up in the morning, but you decide what's one action I'm going to take. And it's really that 4 step every time you have fear. It's I feel the fear, I assess the situation and get more information, and then I choose an action, right? And it's you just keep doing that, and it's that simple. And the fascinating thing is like we have this programming in our head where our lizard brain, when we feel fear, goes into fight, flight, or freeze, right? And it's just gonna do that. No matter how much work I do, how much like my lizard brain exists, and when I feel fear, I feel it in my body. But the clearer you are about recognizing it and recognizing, oh, okay, I'm in fight, flights, or freeze. Like maybe I'm in fight, so I'm in anger and jealousy. Maybe I'm in flight and I'm in anger and or sadness or guilt, right? I'm just running like maybe I'm in freeze and I'm in shame or apathy or boredom. I just go whoop and I just freeze and I don't do anything. But any of those, you kind of recognize you can go into that, or you can just recognize it's fear. But I'm in fear right now, and that's what happened, right? You're in fear for him, you're in fear for yourself. And so you just go, okay, hi, lizard brain. I don't have enough information. And you think that if I don't have enough information, I'm going to die. Because that's
Yeah.
always what the lizard brain says, right? It's like, you feel fear. So that means that a tiger's chasing you. And that means basically it's going to kill you. And so go into fight, flight, or freeze. And that's the only way you're going to survive. But we can actually, like, even though the lizard brain can't tell the difference between life threatening events and a disagreement or an insult, right? Like we literally don't even know. And so we shut down. And so that's the job. So you can go, thank you, brain, thank you, body. Like you're flooding me with hormones and chemicals. And then I'm going to come back to the question of what's the gift, what's the invitation, which is you don't have enough information when it's anger. So I actually want to show you guys this because this is really good. And I love that you brought this up because I wanted to show this. And it's a perfect example of how we handle this stuff. Uh-oh.
I also want to say the lizard brain is not nice because it was like I was just gonna, basically turn them off to begin with.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
I
yeah.
went,
It's
no,
so mean. It's
yeah,
so mean. It's just survival. I mean, it's like I'll kill someone. Like
yeah,
it's just survival. That's all it cares about.
yeah.
So these are the messages of emotion, and we've gone over this before. I just found this on my computer somehow. I had it, and I was like, oh, this is great. So, but if you can just recognize this, right? Then you can get the information, and then you can just take an action. So the fight, flight, or freeze, that's actually only going to last like 30 seconds to 5 minutes. That's as long as it takes. So it's actually up to 3 minutes, I think. So as long as you don't keep cycling in it, you can come out of it really fast. You just ask the right questions. So the anger, right? At first it was anger. It was just like, oh, what an idiot, right? And like your boundaries have been crossed. I'm your accountant. Now you're going to go to jail. That's not okay, right? Boundaries have been crossed. So you just ask, okay, what needs to be protected? Like maybe my ass. So when he goes to jail, I'm covered. But whatever it is, just like figure that out and then go and take the action, right? That's easy. Now I'm out of it in 3 minutes. And now I've just moved into and gotten the gift, the invitation from it, and I'm moving on. With fear, it's like, okay, I obviously don't have enough information because this sounds so batshit crazy. that like no human would do this. And I thought he was a logical person and he makes millions. So obviously he's got more brains than this. So I just need more clarity and I'm going to wait till the morning and I'm going to ask some clarifying questions. Right?
Yeah, that's so great because it was, well, it's both fear and anger. There was like the two of them collapsed together, and it's like, and I thought, I'm going to be the one to send him to jail because I'm going to be on the witness stand and I'm going to tell the truth. And I'm going like, okay, and then I'm going like, I'm going to tell the truth, like, and he's going, and I'm kind of going like, oh, but wait a minute, it's actually not the truth. It's my truth in the moment because he didn't pay attention to me when I said he needed to do something else, and he just kind of overlooked it. And then I wasn't sure, my first thing is that he overlooked it deliberately. And then I went, that can't possibly be true. I went, is
Is
this
that
true?
true? Is it absolutely true? Right? Yeah. Like,
Like,
good.
based on his comment in just listening and going like, it can't be true that he is deliberately overlooking it. He had to not see something else that I sent. So I also started from there as like, okay, did you see the other email I sent? Because it occurs to me like from your responses that, and he goes, no, what email? And I went,
Yeah.
that was a half an hour in the middle of the night, right? But I was going like, okay, yeah, so I can see the two things. So that's a great chart.
Isn't it? It's so powerful. It's so powerful to just like, this has changed my life. And
Yeah.
I go, oh my gosh, I feel so sad. It's like, oh, what do I need to let go of? A lot of times it's like, oh, I feel so sad um, that my dad is so sick right now, right? And I look at it and go, okay, what needs to be let go of? It's like my attachment to him being in perfect health.
Hmm.
That's it's right, right? And like my attachment to it being this way and then going, what's my next step? It's like, oh, I'm going to be totally present with him and I'm going to do body work on him. And we're going to have this really special time that I don't have my kids and I get to be with my dad in a really still way because he's so active and he's so like go, go, go and always doing projects and building drums and wicker furniture and gardening. And he's just a goer. And now I get to sit with him, right? So, like, what if I just let go of him needing to be the way he used to be? And then not so much sadness is there, right? So it's not that sadness is even bad. It's just like, oh, okay, it's inviting me to something. And what if we just keep trusting that the world is conspiring for our good, right? And keep looking for that. And it really is like this experience of, okay, like I just stayed up till, 2 in the morning, ruminating about making someone wrong and being in fear. And I just, from that experience, we had this conversation and now you have a 3-step process that you're reminded of and you're actually like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna try that next time, right? So we're all just going through these things for our own benefit and growth. So write these things down, take a screenshot, whatever you need. But this is powerful stuff. And there's a book called The Language of Emotions, and that's where I got this. And it's really, it goes through all of them, like jealousy um, and doubt and all of the things and the specific language. So uh, that's good. So I wanted to go into the next question, which is, what do you believe about loving yourself today as compared to when you were a teen or a child or um, newly married or not married or before you had kids or after you had kids? So um, I I'll share quick that I was afraid of being egotistical, self-centered, selfish when I was younger, and I self-sacrificed a ton in my relationships because I didn't want to be self-absorbed. I'd had modeling, I'd had, the conversation. My mom is so self-sacrificing in in her own way that it modeled a certain way, and my aunt was super, super selfish, and that was like not okay in our family, you know. And so I just really felt like I had to give up myself in order to be loving, right? And that was a different way that I can see it now. And but what are some shifts that you see? I saw it this way when I was younger, and um, and now how do I show up in a new way, even after doing this course, right? Like, how did you see self being loving yourself before, and what how do you see loving yourself now in contrast?
So for me, I think growing up in the church, there was just so much emphasis on, you know, sin and what we could and couldn't do. And I think so much of my self-worth and my love for myself was just based on if I was, you know, doing the right thing, or if I was, you know, making good grades, or was I popular? Did people like me? And like, how could I like myself if I wasn't perfect or didn't, you know, excel in something, or if other people didn't like me. Um, and I think I still often struggle with the fact that I, you know, how can I love myself, or, you know, no one else is, no, a partner hasn't found me worthy, you know, and so how can I love myself? But I think this course especially um has taken my view away from that. Like I should just love myself just because I'm a person. And, you know, um I've worked a lot through the church part of it. Like ever since I was in college and after college. Um, but I think I still have work to do in this, you know, in this course and beyond, of just genuinely loving who I am and what I bring to the table. Um, and how I do show up for other people and show up for myself. And I'm still working on that.
Literally makes me cry. Like I have like tears in my eyes because I think it's so powerful um and beautiful to kind of recognize this, especially like we all grew up in different churches. Like three of us are in one church, and no matter what religion there is, there's an element of the religion wanting you to, you know, it's even community, and any community wants you to be somewhat like everyone else so that it's just more manageable, right? And so there's teachings of do this and then you'll get blessings, or
Mhm.
do this and then you'll be in good favor with God, right? And so there is this conditional love. um, it's we get it from our parents. You do what you get told to do, and then they show you love. And when you don't do what they want you to do, then they withdraw affection and love. And it's just a modeling, and it's a lot to get the rewiring that like I'm lovable no matter who I am. And I
Mhm.
think the message of the atonement is he died for everyone, right? And yet the programming is do this and then you'll get forgiven, blessings, the the promises.
I
And
went back to my, sorry, my
go ahead.
minister when I was a kid, and I was like, hey, so this church is called Grace Baptist Church. And I never understood the concept of grace as a child. I didn't even know what it meant until I was in my, you know, early 20s. Like, what does that word even mean? And more so, how does that apply to me? Like, it doesn't matter what I do and how good I am at, you know, at following and, you know, in the ways of Christ, or just in the ways of society. You know, grace is that it's just given freely, and you don't have to do anything to deserve it. And so, yeah, that's that's huge.
I feel the same way about the atonement. I just didn't like it's like
Mhm.
the Church of Jesus Christ. Wait, like I don't really know my relationship with Jesus Christ like until I got a lot older. But what does grace mean to you now?
Um, what I was saying, like it's not, it's not based on my merit. It's not based on what I do or don't do, that it's just given freely. And we have grace for others. It's, I think seeing them as they are and meeting them where they are. I could probably spend a lot of time actually writing out some thoughts on that, but I even just thinking about it right now, like I have such high expectations of myself that I tend to have very high expectations of how other people are supposed to show up too. And I think that grace would be in that situation, just accepting them where they are, and not having an expectation of them doing something right or doing something at all.
Yeah, I love that. It's so
Mm,
beautiful.
it's
I'm at my aunt's and I watch my parents, they kind of like correct each other a lot. There's not a lot of grace. It's like, you know, like stop talking and coughing. Like it's just like those kind of like bickery kind of things. And it's like, and then I'm with my aunt who's the most positive person. Kelsey's on. We're so happy to see you, Kels. I think her sound is still coming on. It's good to see you, girl. But yeah, she's just so positive. Like, and she had her 80th birthday. I said, I've never, she's just been like, she said, I just have lived a really beautiful life. And I said, yeah, so much because you're just so positive. She's like, yeah, I'm never negative. And she really isn't. Like 80 years of my life, of her life and 40 of mine, I've never seen her complain. She was married to a guy that was kind of boring and kind of overweight, and she just praised him all the time. Her son was like the quietest, most kind of bizarre kid, adored him, always spoke. Now he's married to the most a wonderful, perfect match for him. Beautiful relationship, beautiful man. He teaches Montessori. He's just the coolest guy. And she just loved him where he was, you know? And so seeing her like now at 80, just seeing like this is someone that lived in grace, you know?
mm,
So anyway, Kels, welcome. We want to hear how you're doing, girl. Like, I'm so curious. We haven't seen her for a couple months and she had her surgery, right?
mhm.
Had your surgery. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was trying to get on at one, and then I ended up sleeping again.
Oh, good.
I am still in recovery. I have, but I'm doing good. My body instantly felt like a very good and strange improvement after surgery. It was like incredible.
Good.
So I was on like this absolute high for 3 days. Like I was feeling so good and excited. And then the fourth day hit and like all the emotions like started catching up with me. But it's really great. Good emotions. Just the body letting go.
Yeah, it's somatic too. Like being sliced open, I realized that too. There's a somatic experience of being sliced open, and you just have to like recognize it. Like you can be grateful and you can have all that, but the fact is there's a subconscious realization that you were cut open, and human psyche means that you were attacked um, in like if when you look at like I was just listening to a podcast, our brains haven't evolved and changed that much in like 10,000 years. It's crazy. Like if you look at the skulls of like our prehistoric ancestors, like I mean, like 10,000 years is a long time. Our brains haven't really changed that much as far as evolution goes, and even though we think we've evolved. So that's something really important to just recognize. Like it doesn't matter by what, subconsciously there's an impact there. So just trust, like letting the body somatically, like just letting the tears come and letting the emotions come through. And yeah, I've been thinking about you so much. So okay, well, welcome. And we've been diving into and we've had the core part of it recorded, but this
And I just want to say thank you guys because I feel like this is me just getting like all these like tidbits and treats before I go in. I'm just like Kelsey's just like paving the path for me, and Paige is over here telling all this juicy stuff, and I'm like, yes, yes, that's right, yeah.
Totally. I know. This is how we get through life faster, is having mentors that are just a few steps ahead of us, that have done it, that know the hacks, you know? So yeah, definitely get on a call with Kels and just go, okay, you're like a few weeks ahead of you, really. Like it's amazing to have someone like
Yeah. When she called me when I was driving up to go have surgery, and I was just elated. Like I was so excited you called me. It was perfect timing, and yeah, I'm just really happy for you, Amanda.
Oh,
Because I seriously, my whole body, like even my stomach, I don't know what that is doing to my body for almost 10 years, but like my body was like, holy cow, thank you for removing whatever that was. Not supposed to be in my body. So
that's exciting.
yeah,
I'm comforted
yeah,
now that I know you're doing okay.
yes, call me.
that.
Or I'll call you. I just got home a few days ago, so I'm still adjusting. My kids are a little wild, but
Oh,
you know how it is.
Yeah. So good. Well, we dove into a lot of things today, and just keep having this grace for yourself, this love for yourself, trusting that the universe is conspiring for our good. Everything's a gift, everything's an invitation. Listen to the emotions and then get the message and then take the action, right? And we talked a lot about that today, but there's a gift in everything. And so um, when we really start to experience that self-love, that seeing all of us, witnessing all of us, and loving all of us, then we can do that so much for the people around us, and we get to have a better experience, and we get to experience more flow state, right? Which is what we're all getting to experience more and more. And go ahead, Amanda.
I just have this burning question. Okay, I just keep getting bit by something. Oh my gosh. Sorry. So my burning question is like, okay, you know how Laura, you're expressing how you know, you grew up with this like conditional love and the right wrong energy, and I'm just like so drawn to get away from that right wrong energy. And it just like it's like screaming at me like to just work on it. You know, like my soul's calling me to it really strongly. But I see myself struggling in my parenting. Like, how do I not make my girls grow up feeling like Laura did, or like I did, or like you did, Paige? Like, I don't want them to feel like they have conditional love, or my love is withdrawn because they screwed up, or that, you know, like, how do I just like not do
I'm
that?
going to give you the fastest answer is Real Love by Greg Bear, Real Love and Parenting. That's the book.
All
Um,
right.
it's all about how what conditional love is, this exchange that we grew up with, and kind of just I loved the grace he gave, is that we were all just like, our parents did this, their parents did this. This is just what people have done. So it's not like they did it wrong. It's just that they did it in their programming, and there's a higher way, right? It's like going, okay, go from 3D to 4D, then 4D to 5D. And it's kind of the path to parenting in 4D and really in 5D, where you're just not making people wrong anymore. Um, and treating teaching kids in a way um, of not withdrawing love when they do something wrong, right? So it's a way that a lot of us experienced, and the programming of the church and of our families and everything else. And there's just a higher way, and it's really beautiful when we can kind of see the difference between conditional love and unconditional love. So yeah, that's the fast and quick, dirty answer. And yeah, that's definitely something I struggle with too. So I have resources and things that I've done, and really it's just being aware of our thoughts and aware of our words, and course correcting when we see ourselves making our kids wrong again. right?
Yeah, and I apologize to them a lot, and I don't know if like that's a good or bad thing, but I'll like catch myself and I'll be like, I did not mean to say that to you. I am sorry. That was rude. I'm rude. Like, so I don't know if I'm like messing them more up by doing that, or they're like, okay, this is what real people do. I don't know. I can't tell. I can't tell.
The more
Well, I
real
think
you are, the
I'm
better.
screwed them up. We don't know.
we do the best with what we know at the time, right? So you're doing your best in that. And something that came to mind when Paige, when you were saying that, is like for Everly, as a reminder to those of you whose kids are not, two, but she will do something that I will get upset about or tell her no about, and she starts crying and she wants me. And so I think we need to like pour into that. Like it seems so counterintuitive, like you shouldn't want to be with me because I just told you no, or I just said, don't do that. And then she wants me. And I think we need to remember, like we need to reach back out to that little kid in your kids, like if you're disciplining or you're having a hard conversation, like reach for them and, you know, try to remember that they used to be able to do that, to want you in the middle of that. I don't know how how little kids do that, but they do. That's because that's all they know.
Yeah, and it's such a good example. Like, um, of like the instinctual thought is, if I'm being hard on someone, or I'm correcting someone or whatever, they won't want me. But the instinct is, I mean, the reality is they have unconditional love, right? Like there's really not, I mean, look at humanity. There's almost nothing a parent can do for the child to not want the parent. And it's
Mhm.
instinct to just want the parent. And so uh, then we have to be, honoring of that connection that they'll always have to us. But that's kind of its instinct to love unconditionally and want the families to the family member to love and be with us. So, Kalina.
So I was going to say my two greatest gifts in parenting were, can I have a do-over? And oh wait, what was the other one? Take it back. So little kids will argue with each other and then they go, you're wrong. And you're going, no, I'm not. You're wrong. No, I'm not. And then you go, you take it back. And then I'm kind of going like, I, when I get in that right, wrong thing, I don't want to take it back. But if I can take it back and then go, can I have, I take it back, wait a minute, or you take that back. And so it becomes like a funny, friendly thing to teach your kids that they can take it back. And then, can I have a do-over? Like a reset, because it's like in that moment, like the lizard brain, you're talking about the lizard brain. The lizard brain comes out and you hear things coming out of your mouth with your children and you're going like, who is speaking? Because I was committed to never say anything like that to another human being. And I find myself, when it's coming out of my mouth and I'm going like, who's speaking through me? Because this is not my intention. This is not my desire, and then I'm going, and I'm a stepmom. So I had to come up with, can I have a do-over? Because that, yeah, let's do that over. If I was going to say this the first time, this is what I would have said. And it gave grace to the whole conversation. You were talking about grace, and I saw it gave grace to the whole conversation.
Oh my goodness. And it's like when we're in lizard brain, we do say things that we're not proud of, and to have that, it's an act of grace to let someone do a do-over. And then
Yeah.
also it's wise to have that. I've had that in certain relationships, and he used that a lot, and it was really powerful to just go, yeah, this is how I would have said it if I had been, out of my lizard brain and prefrontal cortex. Really, is what it's like saying in a scientific term.
And the
Um,
other practice deafness. Not everything requires a response. I'm a problem solver, so I think everything requires a response, and so I'm already thinking of the response, and I'm going like, not everything requires a response. Sometimes they just need to say something, and you just kind of go like, okay,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
a response. Practice deafness.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's but I really love, Amanda, how you brought up just saying, like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Like, can I have a do-over? Or um that being real. And it's really it's the concept that we're going to go over again in next month, but it's just like staying in your business. What does that look like? It's speaking from a place of, I had this experience, I was feeling this is my experience. It's not shutting over all over someone else. It's not making them wrong. It's just acknowledging I made a mistake and I'm sorry. And I think it's okay to do that with kids. And I think that was a misconception in the past, that parents thought, and even humans thought, I can't show my weakness, right? And Brene Brown has kind of blown that out of the water. And our society has a lot more talk around vulnerability, but I think just our different generations haven't found
Um,
that. Go ahead, Amanda.
I love that. Thank you. I have to run. The Frontier guy's here for the 5th time in the week because we just like to hang out.
I love that. He loves you, I bet. He probably
All
has a crush on you. I love you. Oh, bye. Okay, one final thing before we go. I know it's 1:15, but I was hiking in the Rockies with one of my good friends, and she was really excited about this chocolate cake that's at the top of the mountain at a tea house that you can hike to at Lake Louise. And so we're hiking up to it, and she heard about like 5 or 6 years ago, and she's just a total foodie and really excited about this chocolate cake. And so she goes up to the tea house, and we go and take pictures, and we're enjoying it. And then she goes to get in line for the chocolate cake, and someone comes out and says, "There's no more. They sold out." So she's super sad. But we're like, you know what? Like 4 miles away is another tea house. So let's walk and hike over to the next tea house. So we start hiking over to the next tea house and enjoying ourselves. It's 4th of July. We're like singing the national anthems and Canada and the US. Like, it was just a good time. And we're finally getting close to the tea house, and someone comes and says, the tea house is closed. It closes at 5. And she loses her shit. Like, fully loses her shit. She is like, no, like swearing, yelling. She's like literally having like a somatic experience of like, like this, like just, and someone comes around the corner, and this couple comes around the corner, and like we're laughing. She's just so funny. And I say, I'm so sorry, but my friend is having an emotional breakdown. You can just ignore her. As she was walking by. And he goes, oh, what's going on? She's like, I just wanted the chocolate cake from the tea house. And he goes, oh, I have an extra piece in my backpack. He's like, it was closing, and so she gave me an extra big piece. I couldn't eat it all, and I wrapped it up, and I have it here. It was a full-size piece of cake, perfect size for her. She literally starts crying. She turns to the girl. She's like, you have got to marry this guy. He's amazing. He's the best. And then she's like, where are you? He's like, afterwards we started talking. She's still like tears in her eyes. He's like, he's like, where are you from? We're like, Utah. They're like, oh, we're coming through Utah. Stay at my house. You can stay as long as this is the funniest thing. But we were just like, oh my gosh, that was the craziest story. But it's just like the magic that's possible, when you're having a good time. So anyway, I wanted to end with that story. That was so good.
Bye.
Oh, love you all. Have an amazing week.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.
Feel better, Jolene.
Yeah, she opened her eyes. Oh, okay. Go lay down.
Go lay down.
Okay, we love you. Bye.